Do you belong to Generation Z and want to develop the ideal investing portfolio? Should you, however, proceed in the same manner as your parents? Remember that the costs, backdrop, socio-political climate, investment channels, and work scenario were all extremely different back then. Because of this, you should avoid making the error of comparing yourself to earlier generations. Keeping an emergency fund, paying off debt on schedule, investing in SIPs, and diversifying are just a few of the components that may assist you in building a great portfolio and achieving financial freedom. The term Gen Z refers to those born between 1995 and 2012. This generation was reared on the internet and social media, with some of the oldest having completed college and already working by 2022. It's every investor's ambition to establish the perfect investing portfolio, but it isn't as out of reach as you may believe. Simply study and comprehend how to construct an excellent investing strategy for yourself. And if you're a member of Gen Z, you need to have an investing portfolio. Hello, and welcome to Stealth Wealth. Later in this video, I'll give you the best tip on how to create the perfect investment portfolio, so be sure to stay till the end. When social media and the internet became widespread, the current Generation Z was developed. The Millennials generation's attachment to technology and the high demographic bonus conditions in the productive age are then used by e-commerce enterprises for marketing purposes. Furthermore, young people were encouraged to invest more and manage their own money by digital content producers with solid backgrounds in finance in terms of education and experience. Some of us have a propensity to contrast our professional situation with that of earlier generations. We simply see the change in wage amounts, not realizing that $100 in the 1960s wouldn't be equivalent to the same dollars now. The pricing, background, socio-political climate, investment opportunities, and employment market of Gen Z, everything is different from those of the bygone age. Now, this is assuming an inflation rate of 7.5%. Therefore, it's incorrect to measure investment success or efficiency using the same old scale. Gen Z should thus consider developing their portfolio in a way that differs slightly from the approach taken by seasoned investors in the past. But before that, do me a favor and like and subscribe to this channel for more financial tips, learnings, and hacks for you. Gen Zers, sometimes known as Zoomers, grew up in the digital era and have been affected by the pandemic for a significantly larger portion of their life than previous generations. Even though they may not have had a formal job before, they've learned as they've grown up that there are other ways to make money, such as monetizing an internet following. They've also discovered that certain jobs that were formerly thought to be steady may not actually be that stable. A household member who was impacted by employment loss due to the COVID pandemic was present in half of all Gen Z members' households. Generation Z is becoming independent. Additionally, they favor collaborative situations over hierarchical ones and are very self-determined. One of the techniques to build up your investment portfolio is to use the 50-30-20 rule. If you're new to this channel, this rule is a simple budgeting technique that can assist you in managing your money in an efficient, straightforward, and sustainable manner. 50% of your income goes towards the bill that you definitely need to pay and that you need to survive, and this would include mortgage or rent payments, auto loans, food expenses, insurance, medical expenses, and utility bills. 30% for costs that are essential but not absolutely required. Lastly, make an effort to set aside 20% of your net income for savings and investing. This involves making deposits into an emergency fund in your savings account, as well as making investments in stocks, mutual funds, and other financial products. Don't lose sight of the now when you're trying to take advantage of time's compounding effects on your money for the future. It's essential to emphasize the importance of having an emergency fund set up. Your emergency fund should include at least enough money to support your standard of living for 6 months. Additionally, maintaining liquidity is crucial. FDs or liquid investments are excellent choices for starting an emergency fund. One of the key objectives is to save money for emergencies. Regardless of your circumstances, it should be the first item you set away. A strong emergency fund serves as a safety net in times of unforeseen financial hardships, such as job loss, unanticipated medical expenses, or pandemics like COVID-19. We advise you to set aside money for 3 to 6 months worth of spending. Emergency savings operate as a buffer to prevent you from incurring a rapid financial hit when an unforeseen circumstance arises. Typically, you won't have enough money in your first paycheck or salary to make lump sum investments. The best way to invest in term deposits, mutual funds, or any other financial instrument is through a systematic investment plan or SIP. This strategy gives you the freedom you need to manage your savings and spending with investments that can start as little as Rs, 500 to Rs, 1,000 every month. SIPs can also help you plan systematically for your varied objectives. One of your top goals should be to pay any outstanding dues. Your wealth building efforts won't be as effective if you leave that debt to amass at the same time as your riches. Allowing debt to build up will only force you to pay more in the end. There are several compelling reasons to choose debt repayment over investment. The first is that, as was already indicated, if your loan has a reasonably high interest rate, you could end up ahead, particularly in the case of credit card debt. For that reason alone, paying off debt, especially if you have a lot of it, might be a wise decision. The same principles of psychology apply here as they do in investing. If you might get a better return on your money by investing, if you're having trouble sleeping because of your debts, you might be better off paying them off. In comparison to earlier generations, Gen Z and millennial investors are more likely to hold stock options, cryptocurrency, or both, but they're less likely to have a retirement account. While it's encouraging to see the younger investors entering the stock market, utilizing a tax-advantaged retirement account is one of the greatest ways to amass money over time. 44% of millennials report having a retirement account compared to 29% of Gen Z members. Additionally, investors from Generation Z and Millennials might benefit more from it. Retirement seems so far away while you're in your 20s. In fact, it's one of the most popular justifications used by people for not making retirement savings. If that fits you, consider these savings as a way to build wealth. Don't be misled by your peers into believing that retirement planning is a task for those who are beyond 40. Your retirement will be more comfortable the earlier you start. Who's keeping you from making plans for an early retirement too? Anyone approaching retirement age will tell you that the years fly by and that it's harder to accumulate a sizable nest egg if you don't start early. Additionally, you'll undoubtedly incur costs that you don't have right now, like a mortgage and a family. As you start your job, you may not make a lot of money, but you do have one advantage over older, wealthier people: time. Saving for retirement becomes a far more enjoyable and exciting prospect when you have time on your side. Even though you may still be making payments on your student loans, even a small amount set aside for retirement can have a significant impact on your future. We'll go over why your 20s are the ideal age to begin saving for your post-work years. It'll be better in the long run if you start saving for retirement as soon as possible. However, you might not be able to accomplish it on your own. You might need to seek assistance of a financial advisor, particularly if you lack the knowledge to successfully traverse the retirement planning process. When you meet with an advisor or begin developing a plan of your own, be sure to have all the relevant information and to set reasonable expectations and goals. The biggest benefit of starting early with retirement planning is compound interest. If you're not familiar with the term, compound interest refers to the way the money rises exponentially as a result of interest gradually piling up over time. To get the fundamentals down, let's start with a straightforward example. Assume you put $1,000 into a long-term bond that's secure and pays 3% interest annually. Your investment will increase by $30 or 3% of $1,000 at the conclusion of the first year. You currently have $1,030, but the next year you'll earn 3% of that amount, meaning your investment will increase to $30.90. It may seem like a little amount, but that adds up over time. Random investments might not be successful in achieving all of your objectives. What you can do is, first, group your goals in a short-term, mid-term, and long-term categories based on when they'll be completed. In order to determine the best investment for each, prioritize them under those categories. Most investors want to see their nest eggs expand over time. While there's a tiny minority of investors who are happy to collect income from their portfolios without increasing them, there are several methods to increase a portfolio's size, and the ideal strategy for a particular investor will rely on a number of criteria, including risk tolerance, time horizon, and the amount of available principal. Some tasks take longer or involve greater danger than others, but there are tried and true strategies that investors of all sorts have used to increase the value of their investments. The genius of systematic investment plans, or SIPs as mentioned earlier, resides in the utter simplicity, and Gen Z will undoubtedly concur. SIPs might show to be a force multiplier in wealth creation when they're initiated early and supported by continuous investments. However, you risk losing out on a lot of SIP's development potential if you don't make regular installments. We don't have to be brighter than the others, we just need to be more disciplined than the rest. It's crucial to keep up the most recent investment trends, whether you belong to Gen Z or the Zillennial generation or not. The financial environment is being dramatically altered by this generation, and investors now have numerous new chances. Cryptocurrencies, impact investing, and robot advisors are some of the most well-liked investment products among Gen Zers. You need a tighter leash of less accessible money to spend if your fingers are swift and can tap the screen repeatedly to make purchases before your brain can object. You can choose your own spending percentages if you already practice financial responsibility. Determine how much money you can save that won't be needed for a very long time. Consider a pay cut of that magnitude. You can also use managed funds if you have access to competent assistance. A wide market index fund with extremely low expenses and little tracking and accuracy is excellent if you don't. Consider the remaining money as an emergency reserve that you may allocate to your short-term liquidity requirements when they occur. By doing this, we're just practicing living a complete, independent, adult financial life. Just starting to form the money habit. On average, your cohort will likely live to be 100 years old, so now is a good opportunity to make sure there'll be more money than life remaining when they pass away. As a Gen Z, having an investing portfolio is advantageous since it'll help you escape future financial disasters. Thanks for watching. Click on the like and subscribe button to keep the videos coming. Till next time.